New Forest and meet the people and wildlife that make the area so appealing on a wild autumn day.
Early autumn in the south of England, and the turning leaves will soon reveal the New Forest at its glorious best. For many, this is the season to wind down, but not in this forest. Now stags must fight for a stake in the future. Others have a last chance to fill their bellies before winter.
And we got a lay girl, FB.
And for those people who run their animals in the New Forest, autumn is probably the wildest time of year.
I personally enjoy the autumn the best, when we're rounding up the ponies, and they look their best this time of year. And I always enjoy the rat of the fallow deer. That's always a lovely time of year.
I think autumn's a very special time of year in the New Forest because the colours really are stunning on a sunny day. It's quite breathtaking.
I love the autumn in the forest because the weather just turns the forest into something quite magical. And the fungi are just like the jewels which come amongst it and are great excitement, I think.
It's just something about the area, the wildlife. You go out in the mornings and it's just so peaceful. And it's just like you're the only one out there, and it's great.
I'm Ian Young, New Forest keeper. I've been keepering in this area for 43 years. Enjoy every minute of it. Autumn, I like autumn. And when you start to hear the red deer roar, you know autumn's here. And it's a beautiful time of the year. Early mornings is the best time to be out in the forest there. When you're walking around there, you can hear two deer. You hear the antlers clashing together there. And you creep up to them, you hear them bang, bang, crashing about there.
They're fighting to win a harem of females. The danger of spending too much time wrestling is that another stag runs off with the prize. Despite appearances, they rarely hurt one another. The goal of each stag is to run as big a harem as possible, and there simply aren't enough females to go round.
We keep about 120 red deer in the forest. I think there's about 15, 16 stags. The ones that we're looking at there, this stag here, he's about 8-year-old. But you can see there's a couple of brockets there, young stags about 18 months old, and some hinds there, and some little calves. The calves are usually born in about June. I love to see them, no doubt about it. And if it wasn't for the deer in the forest, back hundreds of years ago, it probably wouldn't have been a forest here. But you know, you always get pleasure of seeing deer, no matter where you are. And it's all of a sudden you see a deer, and that's nice.
Nearly 1,000 years ago, the new king, William the Conqueror, wanted to keep the pleasure of hunting deer to himself. So he created and protected the New Forest. William hailed from Normandy, and some historians think that the Normans brought the pretty fallow deer with them as a status symbol. The fallow stags are noisily sorting out who will get the females. And so are the sika. Altogether, there are 5 different kinds of deer in this forest. The king used force to clear people and their animals out of the ancient greenwood away from his deer. But the locals fought for the right to use the forest and won. They became known as commoners, and commoners like Lucinda Ingram still exercise their rights to use the forest today.
Often in the mornings, if you see any deer, they're just such fantastic animals. You know, they're so quick, they're so athletic. But then when they do stand and stare, you know, they're absolutely magnificent animals to look at. I've lived in the forest all my life. My whole family, both my parents, their families, brought up in the forest. So I guess, yeah, we're quite a forest family. There's something about the forest that just makes it home. I travelled the world for a couple of years, but there was nothing like coming back to the forest. This time of year, you tend to see loads of different colours. The trees are all changing colour, the heather's changing colour, the fern's changing colour. Every day you go out, it seems to be a different colour again. All the golds, the browns, the oranges, the yellows, just absolutely fantastic. And when you get the sunlight on it, it just makes it even better. On a nice morning, it's so peaceful. The amount of wildlife you see, they just tend to take no notice of you because you quietly ride past them. All you can hear is perhaps just the ponies walking along or them just munching the grass.
Lucinda uses her commoner's rights to graze ponies loose in the forest. They descend from the wild native ponies, which were here long before William the Conqueror. Over the years, the native ponies bred with the domestic stock brought in by the commoners to create a distinctive breed, the New Forest pony. Today, nearly 4,000 run wild and free across the open forest. They're called the architects of the forest because a plant's survival depends on how it copes with constant nibbling. Ponies also have a huge effect on the wildlife. Any creature that likes rooting around in dung is bound to do well. Autumn is the one time of year when the New Forest ponies are rudely reminded that they're not as wild as they like to act.
My name's Jonathan Gorelli and I'm the head adjuster for the New Forest. The adjuster's main job is the management of the livestock while it's out on the open forest. The autumn time is a very busy time for the adjusters. It's when we round up the ponies. We carry out what we call the drifts. We have approximately 40 drifts through the autumn. We start about the middle of August and go on to about the first week of November. Galloping across the open forest, chasing the ponies in, it's an important job to do, but it is very exciting. I think all the guys that are out there doing it, really enjoy it. The purpose of the drifts is really it's the once a year health check that the adjusters can give the animals. We will gather all the ponies in that particular area into a holding pen. The ponies are then checked over. Any ones that need treating, they may have a long hoof, they may want a worm paste administered to them, or any of the foals that are going to be kept or branded. This can all be done at this time. We're lucky that we get a lot of help come out on the drifts. We get a lot of people riding of all ages, and then we've got some youngsters coming on, which is good to see. In the autumn, one of the problems we do get is the acorn crop. The acorns are poisonous to the ponies and the cattle, and the ponies do get on them and start eating them in large quantities, and unfortunately we have had a few deaths because of acorns this year already.
A few acorns are good for ponies, building them up for the winter, but some are too greedy. They become addicted to acorns and won't touch anything else. They stagger around as though they're drunk, and sadly, if they reach this stage, there's no cure.
The only thing we can do about it is that we do turn out pigs in the autumn. Pigs can quite happily eat the acorns.
The commoners have an ancient right to turn our pigs in the forest for 60 days. That's called pannage. That date's set by the Crown. That started in late September this year because there's a heavy acorn crop. Heaviest I've seen perhaps for 8 or 10 years. The idea is to turn the pigs out to eat the green acorns away from the animals. The ideal time for pigs to be born to go out on the acorns is in June, so that they suckle the sow for 6 or 8 weeks, and then by the time the acorns come, they're ready to go. This year now, 30 pigs. But we really need a lot more pigs to make a big impact.
More pigs to eat more acorns. 150 years ago, there were more than 5,000 pigs out on the forest. In the days when the first commoners arrived with their pigs, the ancient greenwood was full of wild boar doing the same job, eating the acorns and protecting the ponies. Wild boar were prized for their meat by the nobility, as much as the deer.
There's a place called Pig Bush where the last wild boar was shot. So yeah, there were wild pigs, and perhaps they'll be back here before too much longer. I'm not saying there's any plans, but there are wild boar in Dorset, and they're not too far away.
Pig numbers are falling because the right of commoning goes with the land. Where once it was the king who did his best to stop locals using the forest, Now it's house prices. Animals need lots of looking after, and there are easier ways of earning a living. In their own unique way, today's commoners are fighting almost as hard as those original pioneers to keep their way of life going.
There are not many left of traditional commoners. There's still a few left that would like to do it, and they must be encouraged. I've never earned a lot of money, but I don't earn a lot of money and I don't spend a lot of money. That is the way of a forest commoner. He lives within his means, and people say, well, you don't go away on holiday, but I don't want to go away on holiday. This is my life and I'm happy with what I've got.
Of all the trees in the old wood, the oak stays green the longest, and it supports the most wildlife. Besides fattening pigs, these seeds are coveted by wood mice, badgers, and still busy while others sleep, the grey squirrels. Squirrels bite the heart from the acorn to prevent it from growing. Then they bury them. The plan is to come back for them when they're cold and hungry in the winter. That's if no one else gets there first. Actually, jays hide their own acorns. No one is sure whether squirrels can remember exactly where they bury their acorns. They bury so many it could be pot luck. It must be difficult enough remembering where the last one went. It's a big forest.
I'm Nicola Henshaw. I'm a woodcarver working down in the New Forest. It's great to be sort of living right in the forest with the trees all around me, and it's very inspiring. I've carved a lot of deer. I do get asked to carve a lot of deer, being a forest thing, and badgers and wild boar and things. New Forest oak is such a beautiful material. I work with it seasoned and green. The wood tends to be about 400 years old, and it's just a fantastic material to work with. It's like butter. All the oak that I use from the forest is from a sustainable source. I work very closely with the Forestry Commission. They replant as much as they fell. It feels like a whole livelihood going on literally in the forest. I get my wood from here, I carve it here, and actually most of it stays here, which is really nice. It's actually really important that a lot of it stays here and is going to be here for future generations. I've just finished carving an entrance arch for a school in Burley, designed by the school children.
I thought of a snake, and that's what I decided, and I drew it really at.
And they've all seen the animal.
It's lovely growing up in a new forest. You can go on walks and you can see all the ponies and the new forest animals, and you can see habitats. But as soon as you walk out that door, the forest is right in front of you and you can do what you like, and it's just like wildlife all over it, and I really like it, I enjoy it.
I think it's pretty and beautiful.
Great oaks were felled to build warship.
Whenever
The New Forest hugs the prosperous south coast. It survived despite being sandwiched between Bournemouth and Southampton and is 4 times as large as either city. Over the years it's seen many changes. Great oaks were felled to build warships. Later it was fashionable to plant these fast growers. Despite these ravages, nearly 2/3 of the forest trees are native. And the forest doesn't only provide a haven for wildlife, it's also home for several close-knit communities.
My name's Peter Murphy. I'm the rector of Minstead, Emery Down and Lyndhurst, 3 parishes right in the heart of the many generations. Full place, full of add to a spirituality. The people that visit here do so because they believe it is a special place and a beautiful place. And
my name is Alison Bolton, and this year I'm running 2 fungus forays in the New Forest, which is particularly rich in toadstools of different sorts. I usually put quite a lot of emphasis on the poisonous ones, because I think it's really quite important that people, and particularly children, do understand that some of them are really poisonous, and you do need to be a bit careful. The one family which probably everybody knows one example of is the amanitas, which have the red and white spotted fly agaric, which is the toadstool of every child's fairy book. And in that group there are 1 or 2 that are really quite seriously poisonous. There's one called the death cap and another called the destroying angel, which are lovely names. The death cap's great fun because you get sick if you eat it, and then you get better, and then you die, and there's no antidote to it. So, and it could be mistaken for something more edible. When in doubt, don't. However, one that I'm really very fond of is the chanterelle, which is a very distinctive orange colour with ribs rather than the typical gills that you associate with supermarket mushroom underneath. They're supposed to have a slight smell of apricots, but that seems to pass me by. There are a lot of great rarities that occur in the forest, and one of them that people really do come to see from miles around is a dung fungus, which is called horseshoe nail fungus. But it's quite a pretty little job that grows on dung of a certain quality, and it's really quite common here in the forest. One group of fungi that's quite interesting is a group that starts off emerging from something which looks rather like an egg, and most of these are pretty smelly, revolting things. There's a wonderful red star which has been called a jester's cap, because it really does look very like that.
Fungi are not the only poisonous inhabitants of the forest.
virtually no pesticides are used ever. So it makes it a very, very clean place to be, managed largely by the ponies and cattle grazing.
And the wild forest is not just about trees. Thanks to the grazing animals, nearly half the landscape, like this heathland, is open to the sky.
There's nowhere else that I can think of in England which has such a wide range of habitats and such a large number of species living here.
Some of the birds in the New Forest, like the greater spotted woodpecker and the chaffinch, find enough food to live here all year round. The rare woodlark does well here. It thrives on the heavily grazed areas. But for one of the forest's keenest birders, it's the seasonal visitors which provide the most excitement.
I'm Andy Page. Birds is my main passion, and obviously this time of year it's autumn. We've just lost all our summer visitors. We've got a real influx of winter migrants coming down here now, so you can turn up anything this time of year, and it's a really good year. As you can see, massive hollyberry, loads of crab apples, and all these will obviously attract large flocks of fieldfares and redwings. And if you're lucky, there's even the odd ring-ouzel I've seen in the last week here. Autumn is the opportunity to put on weight and stock up for the really harsh periods ahead of them. And obviously the longer that this food is available to them, the more chance they have of getting through the winter. The New Forest has got some very specialised birds here because of the good areas of heathland and valley mire that we have here. The occasional great grey shrike, which is quite a special bird. That's always a highlight to see one of those here. And we've got a good population of raptors. We get wintering hen harriers here. I think birds of prey are a good indicator of how healthy the environment is they're living in. And by monitoring populations of those species, you can see whether, the whole habitat and the whole environment is healthy.
The hour before dusk is the best time to spot hen harriers, when they return to circle the heath and scrub, checking that it's safe before dropping down to roost for the night. Whoever you are, wherever you look, there's inspiration to be had from the forest if you're prepared to go out and find it.
My name's Claire Kitcher. I've been living in the forest since I was 5.5, so that's quite a few years now. I've painted sort of most of my life, really, since I can really remember. Horses and ponies were like my main inspiration, being a pony-mad little girl. Couldn't afford to have my own pony then, so I used to draw them instead. When you're out in the forest, it's got a real atmosphere about it. When you sit there quietly, it's just unique, really. You feel safe and you just feel at home. It's lovely when you see the deer, and they're so secretive and they're always alert, and to try and capture that in a picture is lovely. We were out walking the other day and there was a big red stag and he was calling, bellowing away, and it was like prehistoric noise. It was just amazing. The fallow deer, the stags are out at the moment as well, and they're brilliant to watch. They're very beautiful animals. The pastel I'm doing at the moment is a little roe fawn, and I was just walking through the undergrowth, and all of a sudden came upon it So I had to quickly do some sketches of him. So I was probably there about 3 or 4 minutes, just trying to get down as much as I could, and then legged it out of the way a bit quick because I didn't want to disturb it really. But it was just, I couldn't resist it. So. For an artist, the autumn time is lovely to paint. The colours, just when you get the sun on the oranges and the browns, they really have a glow about them. I was out the other evening and the sky was amazing, and there was a valley at Wootton, and there was mist just coming up from the river through the trees. So you had this wonderful sky and the mist just sort of sitting really heavy, and then a golden glow, and it was just like awe-inspiring really. And really it's the only time of year you get that sort of look. So it's a special time really.
Almost a millennium ago, the New Forest was protected by royalty so they could hunt deer, then fashioned by the commoners who still graze their animals here. Together they helped make the forest what it is today. Now there's another change on the horizon for the forest, recently declared a national park in recognition of its special nature. A new authority will face the challenge of responding to the needs of people from many different walks of life who love this forest, while giving both wildlife and commoners the chance to live the way they choose.
I just enjoy the forest here. I was born here. In fact, I never moved out of the forest. I think they put the cattle grids out to keep me in, but I just won't go out of the forest, and that's it.
Wonderful place, paradise. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, and I consider that I've been very lucky to live here all my life.
It's just such a wonderful place to be, and I just hope that we're left here to get on with our lives and do what we're doing at the moment and keep it for everybody to enjoy.